Hi folks, Bill the Thrill Seaworth here, coming to you from Fort Collins, Colorado on the banks of the Poudre River. Today we're going to talk about the 5 things you should really consider when you're looking at buying a gun or a home safe. We're going to narrow them down to steel thickness, how the door works, fire protection, weight, and what size do you need. When you're buying a safe, it's just like getting married. If you do it right the first time, you've got years of enjoyment. If you go cheap on the first end, you're miserable the rest of your life. Let's talk about steel. When you look at all of the safes on the market today, believe me, they're all from one end to the other. When you start looking at their point of display and they won't show you or tell you what the steel thickness is, or they tap dance around it, it doesn't have very much steel in it. It goes back to the old adage, you get exactly what you pay for. We don't build anything thinner than 10 gauge. Most of our competitors don't even build a 10 gauge. If they do, it's their top of the line. There's a lot of imports, Mexico, China, non-built in the United States. They're 12, 14, 16 gauge steel. When you're buying a safe, you're buying time. The better the safe you buy, the more time you bought yourself, whether it's from attempted break-in or fire. So when you look at a Fort Knox, our standard starts at 10 gauge, we go to 3/16, we go to 1/4 inch. Then you can add another 3/16 liner. You can add a 10 gauge stainless steel. Nobody else offers that. We have an Armanox liner that's a 3/16 Armanox. You say, what's Armanox? Here's what it is. A normal 10 gauge carbon steel is 1850 PSI. You take a 3/16 Armanox, it gets you 224,000 PSI. So it makes it virtually grind proof. So you can literally put a safe inside a safe. Let's visit a minute about the door. That's a very critical piece of your safe. You look at our Maverick door, 10 gauge pan, 11 gauge back steel. When you see the 11 gauge at the back steel, notice the deep recess way back in here. They can't even get at it to pry. This is what it looks like. 10 gauge layer of fire protection, 11 gauge steel back. Also with the door, no nylon bushings. What do you think is going to happen to that nylon when it gets hot? It's going to melt and you're going to lose your door snug fit. Still got the Polusol smoke seal in here to bond to the door to seal that off. When you open the door up, you can feel the weight. When you swing a door, you'll feel the weight. Most of your big box stores, there's no steel in the back. The safes that are made in foreign countries, no steel in the back. It's like your grandma's cookie sheet. It's bent, it looks thick, but there's nothing in it. Talk about the door on our Defender, Protector, Guardian, Executive, Titan, or Legend. You'll see how thick the door is. This is what it's made up of right here, folks. 10 gauge outer pan, 2 layers of fire protection, and either a 1/4 inch steel plate or a 3/8 steel plate, depending on the model. Also, you can get no corner bolt or corner bolts for a few bucks more. The corner bolts, of course, are in all 4 corners. They go out, makes it super hard to pry, but notice all of your steel is in the back. Deep recessed box, you're never going to get at it to pry it. Most of our doors are far superior to anything else on the market. Swing the door. Go into your farm stores. Go into the big box stores. Go to a Fort Knox store, to a dealer to you, and swing the door. Most of our doors make up 1/3 of the weight of the safe. So if the safe weighs 1,500 pounds, the door weighs 500. Good rule of thumb. The other guys, their whole safe doesn't weigh 500. Look at a Fort Knox. We aren't the cheapest safe, but by far the best dollar value It's a once-in-a-lifetime purchase. Just remember, 10-gauge pan out here, 2 layers of fire protection, 1/4 inch or 3/8. By the way, if you get our Arminox or stainless steel, that goes in the door also between these two. Look them over, but don't overlook it. Let's talk about fire protection. This is our Maverick model, 1200 degree, 75-minute fire protection. 1 layer of fire protection in the door, 2 all the way around the sides, the top, and the bottom. When we put our fire protection in, we don't do it like the other guys and glue it in. We rivet it in, and then we put a thermal barrier in there, so it's essentially a dead air space, so the air's got time to cool down, spread around the safe to keep you cooler for a longer period of time. Here at Fort Knox, we only do the best. We've been doing it 40 years, 41 years this year, and we've got it down pat. Maverick, 1200 degrees, 75 minutes. That means the interior is 350 or less after 75 minutes. Paper begins to char at about 400 degrees. So you're good covered at this model as our start out model, which is far ahead of most of the other folks' top of the line. Now, let me show you our Defender Protector Guardian Executive Titan Legend fire protection. Notice how the door is so much thicker. Got 2 layers of fire protection in here, folks. 1680 degrees, 90 minutes is our standard. All the same thing. Layers around the top, bottom, front, back, sides, the door. That's where you lose a lot of your fire protection, is in the door. That's why with this models, we put 2 layers in the door. Also, we've got Polusol seals, the smoke barrier, that seals off the smoke and the heat. When you've got a hot fire going out here, you have cool air inside, it wants to suck it out. This bonds to the door, seals the cool air in. We're out here in Colorado, we get a lot of wildfires. I tell you what, folks, you can't beat a Fort Knox. It is the best you can buy. Folks, let's talk about weight. That's an important thing when you're looking at a safe. Steel thickness fire protection adds weight. You take our 40-26, 60-26 right here, our smallest long gun safe, 580 pounds at our start out model. You'll look at the big box stores, that's about where their big safes end, 580 pounds. We go all the way up to our 7261, our standard catalog safe, 3,200 pounds. We don't pour lead in the bottom of it. That is just steel. Steel equals security. Let's talk about size. We start out at our 60-26, half guns, half shelves, holds 8 guns, 16 if you go all gun rack. We go all the way up to our catalog size, 7261, holds 100 guns. The only problem people make today is they buy one not to fit their needs in the future. All the way from 8 up to 100, and did I mention we do custom sizes? They get pretty big, as you can see back there. If you see my King Kong video, that holds 220 guns. So when you buy a Fort Knox, just like getting married, do it right the first time and you'll have years of fun and pleasure with your purchase. Call me.